I had imagined the first 2 years of married life would be full of bliss and harmony. After that, we'd start trying to get pregnant, hoping for 2 kids. A 2-year age gap between them would be perfect. Such were my naive thoughts back then. Now I have the children I longed for right in front of me. 2 newborn babies. They're bawling like crazy. Yes, they're twins. My name is Emily, and this dizzying reality is mine at 32, just having given birth to twins. My husband Ethan and I have been together since our college days. Trying to conceive, which we started in our 2nd year of marriage, wasn't easy. A year into it, I truly realized that children are heaven's gifts. 2 years later, we began fertility treatments. And now, here are the children we've been dreaming of. Ah, isn't it wonderful? It took a while, but these are the kids I wanted with Ethan, right? Ah, isn't it great? I got the 2 kids I wanted, right? Well, there's no age gap. Actually, they were born just a minute apart via C-section. Plans never go as expected. That's life. If even half your hopes come true, you're lucky. I can't complain about having the children I wanted. That would be so ungrateful. No, I have no complaints about my children. No matter how hard it is, I couldn't complain about my precious children. If there's anything to complain about, it's this. Oh my, Emily, what is this mess? Can't you at least clean up? That's my mother-in-law, Olivia. She's been coming over uninvited daily since I was pregnant. And even now, 2 weeks postpartum. During my hospital stay for delivery, she'd come every day under the pretext of bringing dinner for Ethan. Honestly, her visits during my pregnancy were the worst. Maybe it was because of the twins, or because it was my first pregnancy, but I had terrible morning sickness. It got so bad that I would throw up even when I drank water, and I ended up on IV fluids in the hospital. During all this, Olivia would scold me, saying, "You're pathetic." She'd berate me even when I was lying down feeling sick. "You're not just lazing around. Moderate exercise is important, you know," she'd say, trying to force me out of bed. Maybe it's okay to exercise during a smooth pregnancy, but can't Olivia understand that it depends on the situation? Even in the 2nd trimester, it's not like you can do just anything. I want to shout, "There's no safe period during a twin pregnancy," as the doctor said. But in reality, all I could do was cover my ears and close my eyes to escape Olivia's loud, nagging voice. I felt nauseous every time I tried to speak. I had no energy left to argue. I just waited for peaceful days. And then, after the pregnancy ended and I was discharged from the hospital, I realized that things were still far from ideal. Sure, pregnancy was tough, but parenting is on another level. Frankly, it's incredibly hard. When I'm nursing my eldest son, the 2nd one starts crying. As soon as I finish with the eldest, I rush to feed the 2nd. Then the eldest starts crying again. I smell a dirty diaper. I hurry to change it, and then the 2nd starts crying, needing a diaper change. But just when I thought it was over, the eldest son started crying again. It's an endless cycle of crying. I'm woken up several times at night and often fall asleep while nursing, only to be startled awake by the sound of a dropping bottle. Ethan helps as much as he can, but knowing he has to work the next day, I want to let him sleep at night. Some people might think it's easy to take paternity leave nowadays, but it's not that simple, especially in small companies. I've heard stories of people being mistreated or losing their place after taking leave, so I can't ask Ethan to take it. That's why I try my best to handle weekdays on my own. The person who nullifies my effort is, of course, Olivia. One day, exhausted, I fell asleep with the babies, who were also sleeping. Just for a little bit, I thought. But then I was rudely awoken by a loud voice overhead. "What are you lazing around for?" I was startled awake, and there was Olivia, looking furious. "Olivia, how did you get in?" "I used the spare key, obviously. But more importantly, why are you lazing around? Ethan is working hard at the office right now, and you're fooling around." Before that, what's this about a spare key? Start with explaining that, I tried to say, but before I could, Olivia cut in, continuing to yell without giving me a chance to speak. "And what's with this messy room? Laundry everywhere, stuff scattered all over. There's no place to step. And look at the kitchen. Dishes piled up. If you have time to sleep, you should be moving. Well, the children were crying continuously until just now, and they were crying at night too, so I barely slept and thought to take a short nap. Don't be lazy, Emily. You're a stay-at-home mom, right? If you don't do the housework, then what? What do you think Ethan will think when he comes home tired from work and sees this? Wow, that's tough. Are you mocking me, Emily? My sleep-deprived brain couldn't think straight. With Olivia's yelling in the background, I forced my tired body to start cleaning. And sure enough, the children started crying, probably woken up by Olivia's shouting. My poor grandchildren are crying. How can you ignore them like that? You're the worst mom. I'm sorry. I'll just tidy up these scattered things quickly. You should be taking care of the grandchildren first. You're the worst mom. What? But you were the one insisting I clean up. I came over to relax and read a book. But with this chaos, I can't even concentrate. What a terrible daughter-in-law. What? Can't she read at her own house? Why does she always have to read here? Oh, and the other day, she watched a DVD, took a nap, and left without even putting it away. She neglects her grandchildren. For what? What's her motive for coming over anyway? I have a lot I want to say, but right now, the children are more important than Olivia. I rush to the crying kids to check if they need milk or a diaper change, but then... Ouch! I just stepped on something. That's why I keep telling you to clean up, you useless and terrible daughter-in-law. And again, Olivia. What am I supposed to do? I've reached my limit. I'm sorry, Emily. Please do something about Olivia. Yeah, I'm really sorry. That night when peace finally returned, I spoke to Ethan. Her coming over every day is really stressful. She doesn't help at all. She just complains. Why does she even come here? You're right. I'm really sorry. First of all, why does she even have a spare key? Did you give it to her? No, I don't understand it either. I was surprised to find out myself. So she took our key and made a spare without us knowing? Seems like it. What? Isn't that like a crime? I doubt Olivia would admit it if confronted. I was close to losing my temper over her presumptuous actions. Please make sure she returns the spare key, and at least during the weekdays. I wish she would refrain from visiting. I can manage on weekends when you're around. Yeah, you're right. I'm really sorry, Emily. I'll talk to Mom about it. Thank you. Even though she's Ethan's only mother, I don't necessarily want to ban her from our house. But with the challenges of childcare, if her actions keep adding stress, I might have to seriously reconsider. However, without much gap from that conversation, precisely the next holiday, another incident occurred. Oh my, what is this situation? It's no different from yesterday. I was rudely awakened by a loud voice. My first thought upon waking was just that. Then I realized it was Olivia's voice and instantly woke up. Early, on a holiday morning, while Ethan was still asleep, Olivia had unexpectedly visited. Mom, what's going on? So early in the morning? Ethan, with messy hair and sleep in his eyes, hurriedly got up. As for me, I was sleep-deprived from the babies crying at night. Olivia's loud voice was too much for my sleepy brain. What do you mean? What's going on? I was so worried about Ethan and the grandchildren living in such a terrible environment. I couldn't sleep and just had to come over. Came over, but Mom, look. And of course my worries were justified, Emily. Yes? Emily, didn't you say you'd clean up after I left? It's still a mess. Ethan, with his messy hair, hurriedly woke up. No excuses. I was sleep-deprived, and Olivia's yelling sent shockwaves through me. She must have thought my demeanor showed fear. With a nasty smile, Olivia continued her words. Such a sloppy woman as a mom, poor grandchildren. They say children can't choose their parents, but it's heartbreaking, really. That's a horrible thing to say. I was lost for words at Olivia's harshness. I was too exhausted to argue back. But Olivia, sensing my weakness, pressed on. 2 young kids, their mom is their whole world. With you as their mom, their world is doomed. What a hard life they'll have. I bit my lip and clenched my fists. I won't cry. I won't. Frankly, I never liked you, Emily, with no significant education or culture. And yet you married my dear Ethan. How wonderful it would have been if someone like me had come into his life. You're the worst possible wife for my son. That's terrible. What's terrible is your laziness. Can't even clean or do laundry properly. You're unnecessary. At that moment, Olivia smirked. That's right, you're unnecessary. What? I felt tears welling up as Olivia pointed at me. That's right, we don't need you, Emily. A daughter-in-law who can't even handle household chores is not acceptable. Leave. Why should I be treated this way? My dear Ethan. So she thinks I stole Ethan from her. Jealousy? Why should I be blamed for such childish emotions? My foggy, sleep-deprived mind suddenly cleared. Anger dispelled my drowsiness. I was trembling with anger, about to retort, when suddenly... That's right, Ethan spoke. His flat tone stopped me in my tracks, and he looked at me expressionlessly. Ethan? That's enough. What? You can stop being my wife. What? I was stunned, unable to comprehend. Stop being his wife? Does that mean... Exactly. Ethan thinks the same. You should divorce, right, Ethan? Divorce? Between whom? My mind refused to understand. Ethan's voice reached my stunned ears. Yeah, I think a divorce is best. I was shocked. Ethan? Was he serious about divorce? I couldn't believe it. I thought our marriage was going well. Was Ethan on Olivia's side all along, not my ally? Tears I had been holding back started to flow. Olivia smirked smugly, unbothered by my glare. Such a terrible betrayal. What should I do? What about our children? I had so many questions, but above all, I was worried about the children. Olivia probably hadn't thought of them at all. I wanted to slap that smug smile off her face. Just as I felt this urge, I heard a noise behind me. Turning around, I saw Ethan placing a small cardboard box at his feet, just big enough to be carried in one hand. I tilted my head in confusion, but Ethan wasn't looking at me. He was addressing Olivia. This is your stuff, Mom. You left a bunch of things here, right? Books, DVDs, all of it. Take it and never come back. And give back the key. What? Olivia sounded shocked. If it had been my belongings, I could have understood being told to take them and leave. But this was an unexpected turn for both Olivia and me. Ethan, what's gotten into you all of a sudden? What are you saying? I can't take it anymore. I've reached my limit with what you just said, Mom. I'll agree to Dad's divorce. What? Dad's divorce? Ethan, what are you talking about? Dad's had enough of living with a wife who does nothing but complain. He's been asking me if it's okay to divorce. What? I always thought I couldn't say much since I moved out, but I still hoped my parents would get along. Even after hearing both Dad's and Emily's stories, part of me wanted to believe in Mom, but now I get it. I really do. I understand what kind of person Mom is. It's enough, Mom. You can stop being a wife. Stop being Dad's wife. Ethan, I did all this for you. For me? You think hurting the wife I love is for my sake? Don't be ridiculous. Ew. This must have been the first time Ethan truly stood up to Olivia. She looked utterly pale at his transformation. If you really cared about me, you'd treat the wife I love with respect. That's not love, Mom. It's just selfishness. Thinking only of yourself, acknowledging only what suits you. Perhaps the twins heard the yelling, as they suddenly started crying. In a rush, I went to soothe them. Ethan lifted one, and I picked up the other. Then, as if reassured, the babies started to fall asleep. Once they were asleep, Ethan spoke in a calm voice. Mom. Yes? You've been coming here every day, just to make snide remarks to Emily, haven't you? That's not true. That was just advice. How many times did you hold the children when you visited? At least I've never seen you do it. Mom, you never hold the children, do you? Now that he mentioned it, it was true. Olivia would come every day, find faults and criticize, but I had never seen her hold the twins, whether they were crying or laughing. She hardly ever spoke to them or even looked at their faces. So you come here every day just to criticize Emily and not even bother to help or interact with your grandchildren? That's when it happened. The doorbell rang. Ethan, still holding one of the children, opened the door. It was my father-in-law, Dylan. I texted him while gathering Mom's things. The message was brief, but I got the gist of it. Emily, I'm sorry for what Olivia said to you. Dylan. We've been married for so long. I've been hesitant. Even though she doesn't do any housework and squanders the money I earned, she is Ethan's mom, and indeed, I could have raised him alone. Even while discussing with Ethan, I couldn't bring myself to decide on a divorce. These words made Olivia panic. What? You were really considering a divorce? I hadn't been able to decide until now, but in recent years, your tone of blaming me increased, and I've been troubled. I might have endured it if it was just me, but when Emily started to suffer too, I thought it was time to make up my mind. Wait, are you serious about divorcing me? Yes, let's get divorced. What, wait, you're leaving me? Maybe I couldn't have raised Ethan alone, but even before he was born, you, Olivia, never did your share of housework. You prioritized yourself even when Ethan was crying. Now you spend your days watching TV, shopping at will, and coming to Ethan's house to insult Emily. Do you think you're in any position to act superior? No, it's all a misunderstanding. Emily's exaggerating. Dylan, who I had only seen calm before, was clearly angry. Olivia, sensing danger, desperately tried to defend herself, even suggesting I was lying. Emily tends to exaggerate. She's making a fuss over a little scolding. So I took out my mobile phone. Is this an exaggeration too? I played the voice recording on my phone. You should be taking care of the grandchildren first. You worst wife of my son. That's why I keep telling you to clean up. You useless worst wife. Hearing this, Olivia's face turned pale. Why did you record that? Well, I had to keep some evidence in case something happened. Even with my sleep-deprived mind, I can think that much. But maybe I didn't need this recording because... Mom, I've heard your abusive words myself. How could you say Emily is exaggerating? But... Dylan cut off Olivia's attempt to argue further. That's enough. Oh no. That's it, Olivia. I'm tired of your lies and excuses. We're getting divorced, and you need to leave the house right away. But... If you refuse, I'll consult my lawyer and take the necessary steps. I have no use for an Olivia who can't care about her son's wife or children. Wait! Dylan bowed his head to me and Ethan before leaving. Olivia hurriedly followed him, leaving behind a key, probably the spare key she had dropped. Ethan picked it up. The room fell silent. The twins, sensitive to our yelling, didn't wake up during the in-laws' argument. Looking at their angelic sleeping faces, Ethan and I exchanged glances. And then, without a word, we both started to smile. I heard the rest from Ethan. The in-laws had a discussion with lawyers present, and the divorce was finalized. Apparently, Olivia had been using up Dylan's savings for her leisure, leaving almost nothing left. Despite visiting me daily, it's somewhat impressive how she managed to find time for all that. I learned that Olivia, who didn't cook, had been treating herself to expensive restaurants, in secret, while leaving Dylan with simple meals. Dylan, returning from work, would do the cleaning and laundry himself. Yet Olivia constantly complained about how he folded clothes or left some dust behind. It's a shocking story. To think someone like her had been advising me. I'm astounded. After the divorce was settled, Olivia was essentially forced out of the house. Dylan could have claimed the squandered savings and more, but he said, I can't expect any payment from her anyway. I agree with him. As long as she's gone, that's enough for me, Dylan remarked. I feel the same. Where Olivia went after leaving, I have no idea. She has no parents' home to return to, nor any siblings as far as I know. What became of her, I might never learn. Children grow up fast. They're getting bigger before my eyes. Mom, listen. Today at kindergarten, Yes. What is it? Mom, me too. I want to tell you too. You see, All right, I'm listening to both of you, one at a time, okay? Okay. Parenting is truly challenging. I can fold clothes now. I want to help too. Thank you, both of you. But the joy and happiness it brings far outweigh the hardships. How someone could miss witnessing such adorable children grow up, being selfish and only finding faults in others, is beyond me. I doubt I'll ever understand it, nor do I want to. One thing I can say for sure, Mom, I love you. To protect these smiles, I'll do anything. I can keep going. Thinking this, I return their smiles with my own.